The beginning. A home built on good intentions. Lena Parker sat on the window seat of her bedroom in the Parker house, the soft autumn light filtering through the curtains. At 17, she was the youngest in her family, her books piled high on the floor, and the scent of cinnamon from her mother's baking drifting up from the kitchen. It was a normal Friday evening. School was done. Her friends were heading out for the weekend, and she had the house to herself for now. She loved moments like this. Quiet, safe, familiar. Her father, Mark Parker, was a prominent attorney in the city of Portland. Her stepmother, Rachel, a successful event planner, had joined their family 4 years ago. Mark had remarried after Lena's mother had passed away when she was 13. The move from grieving daughter to little sister and a blended family had been hard, but Lena believed in the healing power of new beginnings. When Rachel moved in, Lena tried hard. She baked brownies for her, asked for advice on hair, kept her little half-siblings calm. She listened to Mark's stories of courtrooms and clients, joined Rachel when she picked out bird feeder sets for the garden. Lena wanted to belong. For a time, it felt like it worked. Her friendship with her father grew. He'd drive her to soccer practice, and on the radio he'd say, "You've got this." "Kiddo." Rachel would join them for dinner, smiling, asking about her homework. The blended family seemed to hold promise. But blended families, Lena would learn, carry hidden lines of expectation. One Saturday afternoon, Lena's father came home with an announcement. "Rachel and I are going to adopt a puppy this weekend," he said, grinning. Lena's siblings cheered. She clapped too, but in the back of her mind she registered the way. Rachel had ruffled the younger kids' hair and said, "Your big sister here will help me pick a name." Lena's smile faltered. Later, while the puppy curled at their feet in the living room, Lena asked Rachel, "Do you want me to help pick the name too?" Rachel's eyes flickered. "Of course, sweetie," she said, but in passing she patted Lena's younger half-sister on the head and whispered something about her being more ready. Lena nodded, swallowed a lump. It wasn't the first time she felt unseen, but she ignored the ache. That night, as Lena lay in her bed, she thought about how she'd always worked. Hard for attention, and maybe that was the problem. Maybe she needed to stop trying and just let them see her. The next morning at breakfast, Rachel asked her about a school presentation. The smiles were genuine. But Mark asked her, "Are you sure you're ready for a college interview next week?" "You've got enough time." "But if you want, we can wait." His tone was gentle, but Lena heard the hesitation. She forced a smile and said, "I'm ready." Her father nodded, then turned to Rachel and said quietly, "We'll help her with the application this weekend." Lena sensed the we, as though she wasn't already doing the work, as though her success was conditional, because she was the last daughter. Because she was the one they still didn't fully embrace, and so the ache began to grow. Lena sat at her desk the next evening, laptop open, headphones in, editing her college personal statement. The glow of the screen lit her determined face. She wanted to get into Emerson, her dream school since sophomore year. Creative writing was her escape, and this essay had to be perfect. She was almost done when a notification popped up. New text from Dad. "Come downstairs. Family meeting." Family meeting? Her stomach tightened. She headed down to the living room where Rachel sat straight-backed on the couch, arms crossed. Her dad stood near the fireplace, pacing. Her half-siblings, Cody and Sophie, were on the floor with their tablets, oblivious. Rachel didn't wait for Lena to sit before speaking. "Lena, we need to talk about your attitude." Lena blinked. "My attitude?" "You've been distant, ignoring house rules, talking back." Lena turned to her father, confused. "I haven't done any of that." "What rules did I break?" Her dad rubbed his temples. "Rachel told me you've been disrespectful. She says you've been rude to her and undermining her when I'm not around." Lena felt the air drain from the room. "That's not true," she said carefully. "I haven't said anything rude. She's the one—" She stopped, catching herself. Rachel leaned forward. "Lena, I checked your texts. You talk to your friends about how much you hate me. You think I don't care about you." Lena's heart dropped. "You read my texts?" she whispered. Rachel didn't flinch. "Your phone was on the table. I was checking the group chat you're in with Sophie to monitor what she's exposed to. Then I saw what you said about me." Her father looked down. "We're not mad. We're disappointed." "You went through my private messages," Lena said. Voice rising. "Twisted what I said. And now you're blaming me?" Rachel folded her arms. Maybe if you didn't have something to hide, there'd be nothing to twist. Mark raised his voice slightly. You're grounded until you apologize to Rachel. The words hit Lena like a slap. You're grounding me? For talking to my best friend? For telling her how I feel? In front of the whole family, Rachel added. Lena looked around. Sophie had paused her game wide-eyed. Cody kept tapping the screen, pretending not to hear. Lena felt heat rise in her chest. She stood slowly, not blinking. You're both unbelievable, she said. You want me to apologize for being honest? For needing a safe place to vent? Rachel's face was expressionless. You're grounded. Mark sighed. This isn't punishment, Lena. This is discipline. Lena turned and walked upstairs, her body numb. Her legs moved on autopilot. In her room, she slammed the door shut. Not dramatically, just finally. The next 2 days were silent. No one came to her room. Meals were left outside the door. Her phone was taken. On the 3rd day, she heard her father talking to someone downstairs. I don't know what's wrong with her lately. It's like she doesn't care about family anymore. Lena sat on the floor, back against the door, eyes red from crying. They don't see me. They see what they want to believe about me. That night she wrote in her journal, I'm tired of apologizing for existing. I'm tired of tiptoeing so someone else can feel comfortable. One day, I'll leave this house, and I won't come back until I'm allowed to be me. She closed the notebook and made a promise to herself. No more silence. No more guilt for other people's comfort. Rachel smiled almost pityingly. You think you're the only one who's lost something. I had to adjust too. This wasn't easy for me, becoming a stepmom to a teenage girl who wants nothing to do with me. I wanted you to be family, Lena said, voice shaking. I tried. You didn't see it? Rachel's tone hardened. You're 17. You don't get to rewrite reality. You've been cold since day one. And Mark, he's my husband now. This house works best when there's peace. So if you want that, start by looking in the mirror. She left without waiting for a reply. That night, Lena sat in the dark. Her journal lay open, but she didn't write. Instead, she stared at the wall, heart thudding with a new kind of certainty. This wasn't just tension. This was emotional exile. Her dad no longer asked how she was doing. Her words were twisted. Her voice erased. And every time she pushed back, she was told she was the problem. She remembered a line she read once. The worst loneliness is feeling invisible in a place you're supposed to belong. The next morning, Lena made a decision. She packed a small bag, just enough clothes, her charger, a notebook, and a photo of her mom. She quietly texted her best friend, Julia. Can I stay with you for a few days? I need air. By Friday evening, the silence in the house had become suffocating. Dinner was tense. Lena sat at the end of the table. No one spoke to her directly. Her father passed her the salad without looking up. Rachel spoke brightly to Sophie and Cody about their school projects, never once acknowledging Lena's presence. It wasn't the grounding that hurt most. It was the erasure. After dinner, Lena stayed behind to clean. She washed dishes quietly, trying not to cry as she scrubbed plates like she was, scrubbing away her existence in the house. She could hear Rachel laughing softly with Mark in the living room. The sound felt like betrayal. As she put away the last plate, Rachel entered the kitchen behind her. I know you're angry, she said coolly. Lena didn't turn around. But I'm not the villain here, Lena. I'm trying to keep this family together. Lena slowly faced her. By spying? By lying to my dad? Julia responded instantly. Of course. I'll tell my mom. She understands. Just come. Lena left a note on her pillow, not dramatic, just true. I'm safe. I'm not running away. I'm walking toward peace. If you want me home, it has to be different. I deserve to be heard. Lena. She slipped out just after sunrise. The street was quiet. The air was cold. But for the first time in months, her chest didn't feel heavy. As she walked toward Julia's house 3 blocks away, her heart whispered, You're not broken. You're becoming. And just like that, everything began to change. Sure. Here's the continuation of the story from where we left off, building on Lena's journey after she left home. The escape and awakening. Lena's first night at Julia's house was a mixture of relief and anxiety. Julia's mom welcomed her warmly, offering tea and a soft blanket. But beneath the kindness, Lena felt a knot in her stomach. What would happen next? How long could she stay? Could she ever go back? That night, lying in a bed that wasn't hers, Lena finally let herself cry. Not just for the broken family she'd left, but for the hope that maybe, just maybe, she could rebuild herself stronger. The next morning, Julia sat beside her with a gentle smile. "You don't have to do this alone, Lena. We'll figure it out." And slowly, Lena began to see a way forward. She started journaling every day, pouring out her anger, her confusion and her dreams. She researched therapy options, found a support group for teens with tough family lives, and even talked to a counselor at school. It wasn't easy. Every step felt like pulling teeth, but she was determined. Her dad called once, but she didn't answer. Her heart ached, but she needed space. Rachel sent a message that was cold and brief. Lena deleted it without reading. For the first time, she wasn't just reacting. She was planning. She set small goals. Finish the semester strong. Save money from her part-time job. Find an apartment after graduation. The future wasn't clear, but it was hers. One day, Julia handed her a book, Rising Strong by Brené Brown. "Read this. It helped me when my family fell apart." Lena devoured the pages, finding strength in vulnerability, courage in owning her story. Weeks turned into months. Lena's grades improved. She reconnected with her dad, but only on her terms. She refused to pretend things were okay until they truly were. The house that once felt like a cage became a distant memory. By the time graduation came, Lena stood tall, ready to step into the world, not as a broken daughter, but as a fierce, unstoppable woman. Her journey wasn't over, but she'd taken the hardest step, choosing herself. Confrontation and courage. After months of healing and growth, Lena knew one thing for certain. She couldn't keep running forever. The pain of her past still lingered, but so did her newfound strength. It was time to face her family and herself. One chilly Saturday morning, Lena stood in front of her old house, heart pounding. Julia drove her here, offering silent support. The front door loomed ahead, a symbol of everything she'd left behind. She took a deep breath and rang the bell. Mark, her stepdad, opened the door, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Lena, what are you—" "I'm here to talk," she said firmly. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Rachel appeared from the kitchen, folding her arms. "I'm not here to fight," Lena began, "but I need to say some things. Things that have been buried for too long." Her voice was steady. She spoke of the loneliness, the feeling of invisibility, the way she felt erased from her own family. She told them about the pain of being grounded publicly, about the lies, the coldness, and how it pushed her away. Rachel's eyes narrowed. "You think this is all my fault?" "No," Lena replied calmly. "It's on all of us. But if we want to move forward, we have to be honest." Her dad entered, looking tired but attentive. "Lena, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much you were hurting." For the first time in a long time, the room softened. Conversations opened. Tears were shed. It wasn't perfect. It wouldn't be easy. But Lena had spoken her truth. And in doing so, she reclaimed her power. The days following the confrontation felt like walking on a fragile bridge, one foot in the past, one reaching toward an uncertain future. Lena knew healing wasn't going to be instant. It was going to be slow, painful, and sometimes messy. But for the first time, she felt she had a roadmap. Therapy, facing the unseen wounds. The first family therapy session was awkward. The sterile room smelled faintly of coffee and disinfectant. The chairs were arranged in a circle, and a calm-faced therapist greeted them. Lena's hands trembled slightly as she sat beside her dad and stepmom. Rachel sat across the room, arms crossed tightly. "Thank you all for coming," the therapist began gently. "This space is for honesty and healing." It was the first time Lena heard the word healing applied to her family. It sounded foreign yet hopeful. They started with small steps. Her dad admitted, "I was angry, but I never wanted to hurt Lena. I didn't know how to show my love." Rachel's voice cracked as she said, "I felt like I was drowning. I didn't know how to balance everything. And I took it out on Lena." Mark added quietly, "I was trying to keep the peace but made mistakes." Lena listened, her anger softening but not disappearing. She shared her side too, how invisible and unloved she felt, how the grounding incident broke her spirit. The therapist nodded thoughtfully. "The pain is real on all sides. The next step is learning to listen without blame." Weeks of therapy passed. Sometimes sessions were heated, voices raised, tears flowing. Other times there were small breakthroughs, genuine apologies, laughter, shared memories resurfacing. Lena started to understand that her family was flawed but not beyond repair. Reclaiming herself outside therapy, Lena focused on herself. The girl who once felt powerless began to explore who she truly was beyond her family's shadow. She joined a local art class, rediscovering a passion for painting that had been buried under years of tension. Brushes in hand, colors swirling on canvas, Lena felt free. Her journal overflowed with poems and thoughts, raw, honest reflections about pain and hope. She also began volunteering at a women's shelter, inspired by her growing desire to help others who felt trapped. Each story she heard mirrored pieces of her own, fueling her purpose. Her best friend Julia was her rock. They spent weekends hiking, talking under starry skies, dreaming aloud of futures untethered by past wounds, forging new boundaries. One of the hardest lessons Lena learned was about boundaries. The same family who had hurt her still loved her in their own complicated way. Lena realized she didn't have to accept everything to keep them in her life. She started setting limits. No answering calls when she felt unsafe. No apologies for her feelings. No rushing forgiveness. When her dad texted late one night, begging for another chance, she took her time to reply, "I'm working on healing. I want to try again, but it will take time." This honesty was hard but necessary. Rachel reached out too, cautiously at first, asking about therapy progress. It was a fragile thread, but Lena grabbed it. Preparing for the future. College applications were on her mind. Lena had worked hard academically despite everything. Her essay poured out her story, her struggles, her resilience, her dreams of becoming a social worker. A local scholarship committee recognized her strength and awarded her a scholarship. "This is just the beginning," Julia said, hugging her tightly. Lena's apartment, once a lonely refuge, became a place of hope. She decorated it with art, plants, and memories of growth. Her relationship with Julia deepened into something like family. They shared secrets, laughed at silly jokes, and supported each other's dreams. Facing old ghosts, healing didn't mean forgetting. Sometimes memories hit like waves, unexpected and overwhelming. One night, Lena found herself sobbing alone, the weight of years pressing down. She reached for her phone and dialed her therapist. "Can we talk? I'm scared I'll never be free." Their conversation reminded her healing was a journey, not a destination. The next day, she journaled a powerful affirmation. "I am more than my past. I am my future. A new beginning." The day of her college orientation arrived. Standing in the bustling auditorium, Lena felt a mix of nerves and excitement. Her phone buzzed. A message from her dad. "Proud of you. Keep shining." It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. She smiled, looking around at new faces, new possibilities. Lena knew the road ahead would have bumps, but she was ready. The broken girl from that lonely house was gone. In her place stood a young woman, fierce and whole, ready to write her own story. Empowerment and moving forward. Lena's journey of healing had begun, but now came the most important part. Reclaiming her life and stepping fully into her own power. Finding strength within. College was not just a place to study, it was a sanctuary. Surrounded by diverse peers and inspiring professors, Lena found her voice in discussions about social justice and mental health. Each day was a reminder that her past did not define her future. She joined the campus social work club, where she connected with others passionate about helping people, sharing her story in small groups. Lena realized her pain could be a catalyst for change, both for herself and others. One chilly October evening, after a heated debate on trauma-informed care, Lena stayed behind. Professor Harris, an empathetic mentor, encouraged her. "Your experiences are not a burden, Lena. They're a bridge to understanding and healing. For you and those you'll help." Lena felt a spark. A mission was taking root. Rebuilding family ties, on her terms. The slow healing at home continued. Conversations with her dad and Rachel were more open, though still cautious. One afternoon, Lena invited them to her apartment for dinner. The room smelled of baked lasagna and fresh herbs. They sat awkwardly at first, then laughter began to fill the space as old stories surfaced. "It's good to see you smile like this," her dad said quietly. Lena smiled back. "We're all learning, right?" She realized forgiveness was a process, not forgetting or excusing, but choosing peace over bitterness. Setting clear boundaries helped. When old patterns threatened, Lena calmly spoke up. Sometimes they argued, but she stayed firm. Her strength inspired change. Her family started showing more respect and care. Embracing independence, financial independence became a priority. Lena worked part-time at the campus counseling center, gaining real-world experience and saving money. Every paycheck was a symbol of freedom, a step away from dependence on a family that once betrayed her. She rented a small studio apartment near campus, decorating it with memories and new dreams. It was her safe haven, a place where she was in control. Love and trust, a new chapter. After years of heartbreak, Lena hesitated to open her heart again. But at a campus volunteer event, she met Ethan, kind, patient, and respectful. They connected over shared values and quiet moments. Facing new challenges, now, slowly, Lena let him in, setting boundaries and communicating honestly. Ethan never rushed or pressured her. He listened. For the first time in a long time, Lena felt trust, a fragile, beautiful thing she nurtured carefully. Giving back. Lena's volunteer work grew deeper. She started facilitating support groups for women escaping toxic relationships, sharing her story to empower others. The gratitude and transformation she witnessed fueled her passion. She also launched a small blog, Reverse Revenge, where she wrote about healing from betrayal, setting boundaries, and reclaiming power. The blog grew quickly, connecting with thousands who resonated with her words. Looking ahead, graduation approached, and with it, both excitement and uncertainty. Lena applied for internships at nonprofit organizations, focused on family counseling and domestic abuse prevention. She dreamed of one day opening her own center, a safe space for survivors to heal and thrive. Though the past still cast occasional shadows, Lena faced the future with determination and hope. Lena's story is far from over, but one thing is clear. She is no longer defined by betrayal. She is empowered, resilient, and ready to create a life of her own choosing. Lena found herself caught in the middle, trying to mediate, but feeling emotionally drained. At times, her parents lashed out at her, blaming her for bringing problems to light. Her stepmom, Rachel, grew distant again. For the first time since her healing began, Lena felt the weight of old wounds reopening, but she refused to fall back into helplessness. She doubled down on therapy, learning new coping skills for stress and anxiety. Her therapist encouraged her to set even firmer boundaries, reminding her that supporting Mark didn't mean sacrificing her own well-being. Balancing act, schoolwork and family. Juggling college, her job at the counseling center, her blog, and the family crisis was overwhelming. Lena's grades slipped briefly. Exhaustion made her question if she could handle it all. But one evening, as she sat under the dim light of her desk lamp, tears streaming quietly, she remembered why she was fighting so hard. Her dream was bigger than any temporary setback. She reached out to professors, explained her situation, and arranged extensions. Her boss at work was understanding, offering flexible hours. And Julia, her best friend, became her emotional anchor, reminding her to breathe and take it one day at a time. A hard conversation, facing new challenges. Lena's life was finally settling into a rhythm she could embrace. College, friendships, new love, and her growing passion for helping others all gave her hope and purpose. But as with every journey, obstacles lurked just around the corner, testing her resolve and reminding her that healing is never a straight path. The unexpected crisis. One rainy evening, Lena got a phone call that shook her to the core. Her younger brother, Mark, had been arrested for possession of drugs. The news hit like a thunderclap. Mark was only 17, and though their relationship had been distant, the thought of him in trouble crushed her heart. Her first instinct was panic and anger. How could this happen? Was her family's dysfunction partly to blame? But then Lena took a deep breath and reminded herself to act with calm and clarity. She immediately contacted a family lawyer and started researching ways to support Mark through the legal mess, torn between loyalty and self-care. The situation brought tension back into the family home. Her parents were overwhelmed, falling into old patterns of blame and denial. Her articles on resilience, setting boundaries, and forgiveness resonated with thousands. Invitations to speak at local events followed, where she shared her story of betrayal and recovery. With every speech, Lena's confidence grew. She realized that her pain had given her a voice, one that could inspire and uplift others. Love tested. Ethan noticed the stress weighing on Lena. One evening, they had a heart-to-heart conversation. "I'm here for you no matter what," he said gently. "But you need to take care of yourself too." Lena appreciated his support, but worried about burdening him. They made a promise to communicate openly, lean on each other, and keep building trust. Their relationship became a source of comfort amid uncertainty. Looking forward with hope. As Mark's legal case progressed, Lena focused on helping him find resources for rehabilitation and education. She felt proud of the young man he was beginning to become, flawed, but willing to fight for a better future. Lena's own journey continued. Challenges would come and go, but she was no longer afraid. She had built a foundation of strength, self-love, and hope. And with that, nothing could hold her back. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you or someone you know is going through betrayal or heartbreak, remember, healing is possible and you are never alone. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe my channel to get more stories.